Hey everyone, it's Patty. So today I wanted to share with you a little bit of a homeschool update and kind of share with you how things are going, what curriculum we're using, what resources I am finding helpful as we go through our homeschool and preschool at home process. So a little bit of a background. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. I'm mainly doing the homeschool for my 3-year-old daughter, not so much for my son, but I do include him in the activities that he's able to do. So let me go ahead and show you what I have been using and I have been finding helpful. Okay, so the first two things I want to talk about are the curriculum that I'm using and this companion guide I'm reading. So I am transitioning into attempting to do the Charlotte Mason philosophy of education. So what they focus on, what she focused on, was a lot of learning through your experiences, learning through literature. She refers to it as living books. So she didn't really use, she was an educator and she didn't really feel that kids learn from textbooks and worksheets and workbooks. She felt kids learn through nature, through books that are like meaty books, classic books, poetry, classical music. She would call it handicrafts. So she felt like it was really important to learn through, learn how to do life skills. So learning how to cook, learning how to sew, learning how to play instruments, that type of thing, she felt was really important. And she also felt it was really important to foster the character. So teaching your kids scripture, reading them the Bible, teaching them how to be good citizens, and teaching kids to make good choices and do the right thing through scripture, and focusing on the Bible and all of that. So that's kind of just like a brief, very quick overview of some of the things that the Charlotte Mason philosophy focused on. So the curriculum that I use kind of is geared towards Charlotte Mason philosophy, and it's called the Peaceful Preschool. And I found out about the Peaceful Preschool through Simply Learning Kids. She talked about this curriculum and I fell in love with it. It is, I believe it's $30, and it's a digital download, so you do have to print it, and then I just had it bound at Staples. But I love this, and I love how it's structured. I feel like it's very age appropriate for my daughter, and it's a lot of learning through hands-on experiences. But I also really like that it's not a lot of prep, so that gives me time to go to the nature center with my kids, go to the children's museum with them, do other activities, because if not, I was staying up like really late preparing everything and then not having the energy to do all that extra stuff. So I have really found this super helpful. So pretty much like it goes through the whole alphabet, A through Z, and I'm doing each letter for 2 weeks. So I'm kind of following Simply Learning Kids structure. She is another great resource. I love her blog, and she actually includes extra resources on her blog that go along with this curriculum. Right now we're going through the letter B, and we're reading, one of the main focus books we're reading is Blueberries for Sal, and then we're doing a lot of blueberry activities or bear related activities and focusing on that B sound. It is really good for my daughter because I feel like I've gone back to the letter A and she still remembers the A sound and what is capital A and lowercase a. She remembers those. Now, my daughter is still not writing. She's 3, almost 4, so I feel like she's kind of behind on that. And I really was pushing it. I was pushing her to write. I wanted her to try to write. She wouldn't try. And that was frustrating for me. And I really wanted to push her to write. I felt like she should at least try. But every time I would try to force her to try to trace something, she would just start crying. So I decided, I was reading an article on Charlotte Mason where they kind of talk about like, don't push it if they're not ready. and sometimes those things come closer to 5. So I decided to go ahead and leave it alone, but it is a struggle for me because with the Charlotte Mason philosophy, a lot of things are like let your kids kind of guide, like if they're showing interest in learning about flowers, then you could do like a whole unit study on flowers. If they're showing interest on bugs, you can do a whole unit study on bugs and then integrate learning things with that. So like let's say you're trying to teach them the letters, you can teach them about the letter B or the letter I for insects and different things like that, like incorporating things they love with teaching. So I'm trying that, but because she doesn't want to write, it kind of is a struggle to paint or to color or different things. So I'm trying to do them with her, and we have a lot of golden nuggets, but then we also have a lot of frustrating moments. So I'm trying to find that balance of not pushing her if she's not ready, but also she a lot of times likes things done for her. So I'm trying to find that balance of not having things done for her, her trying, but at the same time, if she's not ready, not pushing it on her. So I feel like this curriculum is forcing me not to push her to like frustration levels where I feel like in the past I may have. I feel like this curriculum is really helping me guide that. So she's always loved the hands-on activities. I've always done those with her. And now we're just really focusing on other types of tracing instead of tracing with writing. We're doing a lot of finger tracing, which she loves that. So we're just sticking to that for now, and I'll keep offering for her to write. But if she doesn't, if she gets frustrated, I kind of just leave it alone. But we're doing a lot of finger tracing, making shapes with Play-Doh, that type of thing, instead of actual writing. So the curriculum has kind of helped me find that balance, but we still are working on it, and I still have a lot of growing to do, and I think Leah still has a lot of learning to do, and we're kind of just trying to find that balance together. This is the Charlotte Mason Companion Guide, and it's kind of been helpful to figure out like the structure of Charlotte Mason. I'm a very structured person, and I feel like the Charlotte Mason philosophy is a little bit looser. So it's kind of helping me learn how to incorporate teaching into everyday things, like how to incorporate teaching when we go to the nature center, how to incorporate teaching when we're picking up books, that type of thing. Learning how to incorporate things she's interested in into what we're doing and that type of thing. So if she shows interest, I try to keep doing what she's showing interest in. So this has really helped me with that, and it has a lot of information on a, I feel like, pretty easy level if you're interested in learning more about the Charlotte Mason philosophy. One of the things that the philosophy talks about is the importance, especially at this age, to nurture their character and create good habits in them. So some of the things I have been using for that are 2 storybook Bibles. I kind of rotate between the 2. This is called the Beginner's Bible. I would say this one is at a much easier reading level. And this is really good for like your beginning, when you're first starting reading stories. So I would say for your like 2-year-old, your 1-year-old, this is great. Leah, I still likes this one, but we're starting to transition more into the Jesus Storybook Bible. I love this one. I love the stories. I love the illustrations. They're amazing. And what's really cool about this one is when we do our painting sessions, like one of the golden nuggets moments, we have some rough moments, but one good moment was one day we just listened to the creation story on speaker, like it was a kid's version of the creation story. I opened up to the story here, I read it to my daughter, and then both of us just sat and painted as we listened to the creation story, and we kind of try to copy the picture in here. So I feel like this is really good if you're going to do painting sessions to kind of use as inspiration and stuff like that. Another book kind of focusing on character. This book was given to us when Leah was 1, and I have found it helpful to read at certain times to build character, and it's called Sophie and Sam, and it just talks about different character development. So for example, say yes to respecting, say no to arguing, say yes to thanking God, say yes to telling the truth, say no to whining, and it goes on and on and on. And it's different little stories talking about these different character attributes, but they're all brought back to the Bible and God and stuff like that. So a really big thing in Charlotte Mason homeschooling is poetry tea time. And I do plan on getting the kids a poetry book in one of their in an Easter basket for one of the kids. But I don't have a young, solid poetry book for them yet. So in the meantime, I have been reading this during like our sit down like snack time type thing, and they have been loving it. Both kids really, really enjoyed this book. So I definitely recommend that. And then moving on to some things, some books that I've been using to incorporate while we're learning. So this is a book that I showed in a vlog the other day. It's the Maps book. I highly recommend this book. It is filled with tons of information on continents, different countries. It breaks up all the continents and then it breaks it up by countries. And then each country has a whole bunch of pictures and facts in it. Let me see if you'll be able to see the page there. It has like tons of information and facts and pictures, and I love it. So for example, when we're going through the letter A, we read this book, How to Make an Apple Pie and See the World, I believe is what it was called. I may be butchering that name. But we went through, they talked about several different countries, so we actually went through, I think we picked 2 countries, and that week we went through both of those countries, learning about the country. We looked at different facts, and Leah loved it. And then when we were done, she went on the couch and kept looking through the book because she loved it so much. So it's definitely very kid-friendly. And then the other 2 books that we've been using are the Farm Anatomy book and the Nature Anatomy book. I really like these. They have tons of illustrations, and before I started looking into the Charlotte Mason philosophy, I found it very challenging to use these books. I didn't know how to use them. But since then, I've been trying to focus on incorporating learning into what we're doing. So for example, today we're reading the Blueberries for Sal book, and it talks about brown bears. So we picked up our Nature Anatomy book, we found the bears. There was a grizzly bear and a brown bear, and we talked about the differences between the 2 bears. And then Leah asked if we could paint, and we painted. Now, I'll be honest with you, she did ask if we could paint, and then she did not want to paint and refused to paint. So it started off good, and then it kind of dwindled down, which is fine. You know, we're trying different things. This is a new format for us, so we're still working out the kinks and stuff like that. But it was a really cool teaching opportunity to talk about bears, because in the Blueberries for Sal book, there's a bear in the book. So I normally wouldn't have thought to do that, but this philosophy kind of puts you in that mindset. So these have tons of illustrations. I open these up a lot when we're going to draw or paint to use for inspiration. They also have tons of facts in them, and they are just great, knowledgeable books for kids to grow with them. So the last thing I want to share are these color pencils. I got these for Leah for Valentine's Day. I also got Hunter the beeswax crayons. We have really been enjoying these. Like I said, Leah's not writing very much, but the few times I can get her to trace something, if she tries, or will try with my help, or sometimes she'll color, she's definitely more open to it with these than she was with like other like regular brands. You don't have to press as hard, so I think that kind of helps because it's pretty vibrant for pressing very lightly. So that does help, and I have found it very helpful. So those are kind of the things that we have been using, and I kind of wanted to share what's going on with us so far. I'm going to be doing these homeschool updates from time to time just to kind of share our journey, our struggles, what's good and what I'm struggling with, to kind of share and kind of make this a community for other moms that are homeschooling. I'm just starting out, so I'm learning a lot, and it's so different than teaching in the classroom. So I wanted to share with all of you what my struggles are, what I'm really enjoying, to hopefully, maybe it'll help encourage you, but also I would love some encouragement and ideas, because we're all in this together, and I feel like we're all learning together. If you have any suggestions of resources, please let me know in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!